My husband is the crown prince. Yet he disguised himself as a butcher with amnesia. He lived with me in this small village, playing out the days of a poor couple. Until that night. I heard him speaking with his guard. Lady Ning saved your life, your highness, and she is truly devoted to you. When you regain your power, will you give her a formal title? Such a vulgar village woman. How could I possibly bring her into the Eastern Palace? I was merely playing a part with her. Rewarding her with 1,000 taels of gold is more than enough. I was pressed against the door eavesdropping. And I couldn't help but laugh. He had no idea that I had been reborn. I finally endured long enough to get my hands on that money. Lately, Xiao Jingxi has been unusually affectionate. Every time, he would deliberately exhaust me. Only when I was tired enough to fall into a dead sleep would he lightly put on his clothes and slip out. Could it be that the day for his return to the palace is near? I intentionally kept a lookout. While he was getting up, I quietly moved to the door. Your Highness, the day is drawing closer. As for Lady Ning, what do you plan to do with her? Xiao Jingxi remained silent. After all, it was Lady Ning who saved you. She is deeply in love with you. If you are willing, giving her a minor status in the future wouldn't be impossible. Jiang Wanning is vulgar and overbearing, and can barely read a few words. Such a common woman. How could I possibly bring her back to the palace? My time with her was always just an act. Granting her 1,000 taels of gold is already a massive blessing. Under the moonlight, the guard shook his head, as if he felt sorry for me. But the rest of their conversation drifted away. Only the words 1,000 taels of gold kept buzzing in my ears. I struggled to suppress the grin splitting my face, holding back my laughter as I crawled back into bed. Xiao Jingxi didn't know I was reborn. From the very start, I knew exactly what kind of man he was. In my previous life, I wasn't the one who found him. It was Lu Dia from the village. She picked up a handsome man at the village entrance. She fell in love at first sight. She insisted on marrying him no matter what. The night before, I had even advised her, saying a man needs real ability. And you can't just look at a face. In the end, I was slapped hard by reality. On the day Xiao Jingxi returned to the palace, he wore a jade crown and a majestic robe. 100,000 soldiers knelt to welcome him. The small path at the village entrance was so crowded not a needle could fit. That's when I realized. The man Lu Dia picked up was actually the high and mighty crown prince. Xiao Jingxi's amnesia was faked from beginning to end. He deliberately hid in this remote village to secretly build his strength. Now, he had finally emerged as the ultimate winner in the struggle for the throne. When Xiao Jingxi passed by Lu Dia, he walked past her with cold indifference, not even lifting an eyelid. From then on, Lu Dia was like one possessed. Her head was filled with dreams of being the crown princess. She spent every day clutching the treasures Xiao Jingxi had bestowed upon her, crying incessantly. She kept muttering that she didn't want the money. She only wanted to be his crown princess. I really couldn't understand what there was to cry about. If it were me, I would definitely have drained that future emperor dry, sleeping with him until I got my money's worth. Once he returned to the palace, I could spend the rest of my life on mountains of gold and silver, never worrying about food or drink. No matter how you calculate it, it's a win. Who knew that a year later, just as Xiao Jingxi ascended the throne, a plague broke out in the village. Villagers were falling ill and dying. I didn't escape this fate either. Before I died, Xiao Jingxi's cold face actually popped into my mind. I was jealous to death. That was 1,000 taels of gold. If I had Lu Dia's luck, at least I could have changed my current fate. I thought I had ended my life, just like that, in such a hasty manner. But when I opened my eyes again, I had actually been reborn. This time, I didn't hesitate. I ran straight to the village entrance, not for anything else but to get there before Lu Dia and pick up Xiao Jingxi myself. I dressed myself up beautifully every day, and waited for a full half-month. I waited, and finally, I saw the bloodied Xiao Jingxi. Before he could collapse, I rushed forward with a smile, and caught him firmly. Who are you? Where is this? Even weak, Xiao Jingxi was still very vigilant. He held a sword to my throat, preventing me from coming closer, but I didn't care at all. Husband, I am here to save you. No matter how Xiao Jingxi struggled, I hoisted half his body onto my shoulder, and dragged him all the way home. On the way back, I ignored his groans of pain. My heart was blooming with joy. This immense fortune, I finally managed to catch it. By the time Xiao Jingxi woke up again, fate had completely changed. This time, he was lying in my bed. In front of Xiao Jingxi, I had already laid out medicine for side wounds, medicine for falls, medicine for blade wounds, and medicine for bruises. These were all things I had prepared long ago. I had already bought every good medicine available on the market, fearful that I couldn't cure Xiao Jingxi. Husband, where exactly are you hurt? Stay and let me treat you. Xiao Jingxi's expression was strange. He hesitated for a moment before reaching for the gold's ointment. This time, he acted exactly like in my previous life, lying to me that he had lost his memory. I didn't expose Xiao Jingxi. Instead, I went along with it and kept him at home. Before long, we were married. After the marriage, I became even more attentive to Xiao Jingxi, not just because he was my god of wealth, but because he was the crown prince, the future emperor. If I didn't serve him well now, and he held a grudge, forget the money, I wouldn't even keep my life. Xiao Jingxi went to the town every day to slaughter pigs and sell meat. I would carry a small stone basket and walk a very long mountain path to bring him food and drink. No matter when he came back, I would be holding a lantern, waiting quietly at the village entrance. Thanks to Xiao Jingxi's handsome looks, the meat stall business was thriving. He had delicate features. Many girls traveled from far away just to buy half a pound of meat, just to catch a glimpse of the handsome butcher. But they didn't know that I didn't care about this small change at all. I counted the days on my fingers. The more I counted, the more excited I got. That day was finally almost here, but several days passed. I waited and waited, but there was still no sign of Xiao Jingxi returning to the palace. What are you thinking about? I coughed lightly, feeling strangely guilty. Thinking about you. I'm right in front of you. Why think about me? I put on a pitiful, aggrieved expression. There are more and more girls buying meat at the stall. What if one day you look down on me, think I'm vulgar and illiterate, and throw me away? What would I do? Just eat your food. What nonsense are you talking about? I sneered in my heart. This isn't nonsense. Isn't this exactly what the crown prince said himself a few days ago? You're the one talking nonsense. We've been married for so long, but the number of times you've called me wife can be counted on one hand. If I call you wife, will you eat properly? He stood up and added a piece of food to my bowl. His elegant eyes were slightly lowered, and he very naturally called me wife. Even though he despised me so much in his heart, he still had to act with me on the surface. It must be hard on him. Oh well, fortunately, these days of acting for each other are finally coming to an end. After dinner, Xiao Jingxi sat on the edge of the bed, and suddenly reached out to me. He opened his hand, and in his palm lay a plain hairpin. For you. A new jewelry shop opened on the street today. I saw many girls buying this, and thought you might like it too. I was incredibly repulsed in my heart, but I had to act as if I loved it. How did you know I liked this style? I suddenly wrapped my arms around his neck, leaned and giggling. Husband, you are so good to me. Xiao Jingxi's eyes flickered slightly. He grabbed my wrists, rose, and pressed me down, kissing my lips. The moment he lowered the bed curtains, I dizzily thought, men. They really are easy to fool. Early the next morning, a noise came from outside. Wake up. Something big has happened. Early the next morning, a noise came from outside. Wake up. Something big has happened. Why are there soldiers all over the village entrance? I suddenly rolled over and sat up, clutching the quilt. Xiao Jingxi, who had been beside me, was already gone. Just as I walked into the yard, I saw Xiao Jingxi, wearing a cyan robe, standing with his hands behind his back at my gate. Villagers were kneeling everywhere. Your Royal Highness, this official is late. They're finally here. What took you so long? My eyes turned red with excitement, but I put on a terrified look. Husband, who are they? Who are they? Kneel before the crown prince immediately. Crown prince? I knelt down weakly. My lips were trembling, and large tears were falling. Xiao Jingxi just stood there looking at me, his back straight, but he didn't say a word. After a long while, from his throat finally came the words I had dreamed of hearing. For the merit of saving the prince, grant her 1,000 taels of gold. After saying that, Xiao Jingxi walked past me, taking advantage of the moment he slightly paused. I wiped away my tears and snot, and cried out in despair, thank you for your grace, your highness. I turned around, pulled the heavy tray of gold toward me, and then from my sleeve, I pulled out the plain hairpin he gave me yesterday. I ran toward the stream by the yard gate. At that moment, behind me, Xiao Jingxi shouted my name, sounding somewhat out of control. Jiang Wanning. He actually chased after me. I was startled. At the same time, I held up the hairpin high and threw it in. The hairpin only made a small splash on the surface, before sinking in an instant. Your Highness, from this day forward, there is nothing left between us. Xiao Jingxi's footsteps stopped dead in their tracks at my words. The surroundings fell into an eerie silence. Probably sensing Xiao Jingxi's fury, everyone was prone on the ground, lowering their heads cautiously, not daring to look. But if they had looked up, they would have seen the crown prince, looking disheveled and losing his composure. Xiao Jingxi's eyes were bloodshot, staring fixedly at where the hairpin had vanished, desperately trying to hide his shaking hands beneath his sleeves. While I wiped my tears, I thought to myself, the crown prince truly is a paragon among men, acting so well he even fooled himself. Unfortunately, he didn't know that I had personally seen Lu Dia ruthlessly abandoned in the end. If there was even a shred of possibility of being tossed aside once used, I wouldn't let myself take the gamble. Furthermore, I had heard with my own ears what he thought of me. Rather than believing in a man's flimsy affection, it's better to believe in heavy gold. Besides, I had long thought that hairpin was ugly. I had wanted to throw it away but held back until today. After a long time, a chilling intent flickered between Xiao Jingxi's brows. Very well then. This time, Xiao Jingxi didn't look back, watching that massive, grand procession of horses get further and further from the village. I quickly rushed to the pile of gold ingots, grabbed one, put it to my mouth, and bit down hard. It really hurt, but it smelled so good. Hee hee. The nearby villagers looked at me giggling in horror. They all looked at me with sympathy, thinking I had been abandoned too miserably, and was so heartbroken that that I had started acting crazy. Actually, having this money after being reborn. There was another thing I wanted to do. Although I didn't know if it would work. After thinking it over, I decided to give it a try. I quickly wiped my tears, stood among the villagers, and asked everyone to gather around. Fellow villagers, Wanning has something to say. Now that my husband has returned to the palace, he will likely remember his destitute days here. In Lotus Village, everyone present understood my meaning. After all, a ruler's heart is unpredictable. No one dared to gamble on whether Xiao Jingxi would suddenly have a whim one day to wipe out his memories of being destitute in Lotus Village. With a heart as cold as his, it truly wasn't impossible. I wanted to use this excuse to get the villagers to leave. Heavens, what should we do then? Our ancestors have lived here for generations. If we move, we'll lose our livelihoods. The time had come. I spoke slowly. I was the one who picked up my husband, so I should naturally be responsible to the end. So, for the neighbors who move out within 2 days, I, Jiang Wanning, am willing to cover the costs of leaving Lotus Village and everyone's resettlement expenses. That's wonderful, Wanning. Are you serious? Is there really such a good thing? I nodded. Seeing more and more villagers eagerly signing up, I quietly breathed a sigh of relief. I grew up without parents, fed by the 100 families of Lotus Village. Since I had the advantage of rebirth, I naturally had to do what I could for everyone. In this way, my hanging heart was finally at ease. The villagers' issues were resolved. Now there was one last problem. I looked at Lu Dia next to me, who was squatting on the ground sobbing. I'm not leaving. I also want a handsome man to bring home as a husband, preferably one even more handsome than the crown prince. My mouth twitched. She was an orphan like me, with no relatives to rely on. Thinking of her miserable end before my rebirth, combined with how she is now, even with money, it's not guaranteed she won't be tricked by some unscrupulous man. I knelt down and wiped away her tears. I'll take you to a good place. Are you willing to go with me? Where? Can we pick up men there? I was instantly speechless. Shut up, you. As the last person to leave, I set a fire and burned the place down completely. Before getting on the carriage, I looked at the ruins of Lotus Village, as if making a clean break from those painful memories of death in my past life. I felt an indescribable sense of relief. This time, no one would die in that plague. Everyone could take their silver and live well. On the carriage, Lu Dia asked curiously, where exactly is this good place you mentioned? My lips curled. I pulled back the curtain. The capital. This was the other thought I had. After getting this money, once this life-saving wealth was in my hands, I would leave this place for the most stable and profitable place in the world. The capital is prosperous, with opportunities everywhere. Most importantly, I didn't want to be like my last life, trapped in that broken village until I died. The carriage slowly pulled away. But what I didn't know was that 3 days later, several men in black arrived at Lotus Village. Only the leader wore a cyan robe, his handsome face faintly visible. He looked beyond reach. He saw the village was long deserted, leaving only ruins and broken walls everywhere. His body shifted slightly, but he said nothing. The other men in black searched along the stream, as if looking for something. In the end, they returned empty-handed. Only that gentleman in cyan, just as he turned to mount his horse, suddenly fell heavily to the ground. Upon closer inspection, he had actually spat out a mouthful of blood from his heart. Just as the new emperor ascended the throne, an embroidery workshop suddenly appeared in the capital. It was called Yunsheng. When the workshop first opened, it posted notices everywhere, taking in homeless, poor women to work. Not only did it provide food and lodging, it also taught them embroidery. Once they mastered the craft, they could join the workshop. When the notice was posted, the people of the capital were talking about it, thinking it was just a gimmick. But in just half a year, Yunsheng Workshop became famous throughout the imperial city for its gold leaf embroidery. The styles were numerous and the patterns were new. Noble ladies in the capital scrambled to buy them. It was said that the owner of the workshop was a woman named Wang, who was very mysterious. This is Ying Xianing, the daughter of the prime minister. She was picking embroidery in the shop, and casually chatted with me. Miss Jiang, you're clearly the one who opened this workshop. So why do you always let Miss Wang handle the public? I smiled and didn't answer. When I first arrived in the capital, I opened Yunsheng Workshop, and bought a large mansion. Dia opened a medical clinic right next door to Yunsheng Workshop. We also hired a teacher. Because we started with nothing, it was only through our small businesses that we finally achieved today's prosperity. However, this is ultimately Xiao Jingxi's territory. To be safe, I still had Dia act as the public face of Yunsheng Workshop. Oh, right. A few days ago, when I went to the palace for a banquet, I presented that flower and bird screen you embroidered to His Majesty. My hand on the abacus suddenly stopped. He stared at the Ning character you embroidered, and knocked over his wine cup. Suddenly he started coughing violently and asked me a lot of strange questions. He asked me who embroidered that screen. Back when I was with Xiao Jingxi, every time his clothes were torn and I mended them, I liked to play a little trick. I'd embroider the character Ning on his clothes near the heart, saying it was an amulet for him. I originally thought Xiao Jingxi had never noticed such a small detail, but then I thought, This girl's name also has the character Ning in it. A bit of luck stirred in my heart. I asked casually, so how did you answer, Xianing? Her expression suddenly became serious. I said this piece of work was embroidered by me. And then I received the top reward. It's all thanks to your skillful hands. Even my father praised my progress. Miss Jiang, you've really done me a huge favor. Would you like to come to my estate for a banquet in a few days? He then returned to his cheerful expression. Only then did I feel at ease. I had just smiled and agreed when I heard him say mysteriously. Everyone says His Majesty has ruthless methods, but exceptional looks. Since he ascended the throne, the position of Empress is still empty. So, ministers from every family are trying their best to send girls to the palace. But I'm not willing to go. Because he has a strange disease. I frowned. Xiao Jingxi's muscles felt rock hard to the touch. He was clearly very robust. Where did this strange disease come from? My father told me secretly. That he has a heart ailment. It's probably a condition he developed while he was stranded outside back then. Shu, you must never tell anyone. After he left, I sat there stunned for a long time. I felt that Xiao Jingxi's reaction was a bit off. I could only comfort myself. Those things happened a long time ago. Xiao Jingxi shouldn't go that far. He is the emperor now. Whatever woman he wants is just a word away. He probably forgot all about a country woman like me long ago. But what I didn't expect was that Xiao Jingxi is a person who holds a grudge. Towards evening, an embroiderer ran over from the front yard in a panic. Sister Wanning, you quickly go take a look. An important guest has arrived. From their attire, it looks like they're from the palace. My heart pounded violently. Thinking it over, I felt that the person who came had no good intentions. Steady them first, and quickly go to the medical clinic to call Dia back. In the guest hall, Xiao Jingxi stood tall and upright. His dark eyes were deep, and his thin lips were slightly pursed, making it impossible to tell what he was thinking, though he was wearing plain clothes. Anyone could see his extraordinary temperament. That sense of oppression was definitely not something an ordinary person from the palace could possess. Lu Dia naturally recognized Xiao Jingxi's identity as well. She sat in the main seat, forcing herself to stay calm. Young Master Qiao looks so grand. You must be either rich or noble. I wonder what brings you to our humble shop. She said he was there to place an order, but before she could finish speaking, Xiao Jingxi slightly raised his chin. The two followers behind him actually brought in the pair of flower-ambered screens that Yin Xianing had presented. Lu Dia didn't know what this was and was stunned. What do you mean by this, young master? Stop pretending. I know you're from Lotus Village. I am here to find someone. His expression was indifferent. He drew a sword from his waist, slowly playing with the exquisite dagger, his eyes showing a cold intent. Lu Dia swallowed hard. She asked tremblingly, who is your majesty looking for? My wife, Jiang Wanning. Xiao Jingxi's expression was restrained, his eyes almost turning red and his whole being radiated a sense of madness. I squatted behind the screen. Unknowingly, sweat had already soaked my clothes. This won't do. Xiao Jingxi finding his way here today must be related to that pair of screens. He also looks a bit off. If this continues, Dia and I might die here today. Although I don't know why he's looking for me. I must face him. I took a deep breath, stood up, and walked out from behind the screen with poise. Then knelt down very smoothly. My expression was submissive, my hands pressed to the floor. I directly kowtowed to Xiao Jingxi. This lowly woman, Jiang Wanning, greet your majesty. The others had already quietly retreated. I knelt on the ground, not daring to say another word. Jiang Wanning, don't think I can't see through your little scheme. You think by kneeling like this, the days we spent together in Lotus Village can be wiped clean? His voice was raspy. I've been searching for you for a long time and never knew you were right here in the capital. I came this time because I want to make things clear to you. I felt like I was hearing a giant joke, wondering if Xiao Jingxi had gone mad. He thinks I'm a fool. If I tell the truth, and he flies into an imperial rage, what if he chops off my head? This lowly woman wouldn't dare. Xiao Jingxi's brow furrowed. Do you think I'll kill you? Until this moment, I had absolutely no trust in him. This matter was finally completely exposed. He walked quickly to the table, wrote something with a flourish, and handed me the paper. This imperial decree can guarantee a lifetime of safety for you and Yunsheng workshop. Will you finally believe me this time? Only then did I feel safe enough to put it in my robes. I summoned my courage and answered, Your Majesty, I believe I treated you exceptionally well, thinking it would earn me a bit of your sincerity, but you looked down on me and despised me. If you were in my position, would you trust such a fickle and heartless person? When did I ever say I despised you? You're quite a crude person, completely illiterate. Everything between me and her was just a performance. Giving her 1,000 taels of gold is already a grand favor. I stared straight into Xiao Jingxi's eyes and repeated his words from back then. Actually, even if you hadn't said it, I never once thought about entering the palace. Even if I became the empress, so what? How long can an emperor's love last? I don't care for it at all. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I didn't throw away that hairpin that day because I was sad, but because it was silver. And I like gold. Xiao Jingxi's brow furrowed slightly. He leaned against the table and clutched his chest. So in your heart, I'm not even as important as 1,000 taels of gold? Jiang Wanning, have you ever actually felt anything for me? That winter, I fell off a cliff on my way to find you. You searched for me desperately, until all 10 of your fingertips were bloody. I did feel something then. But things like that, I dare not believe in them. The more I read and studied, the more I understood that romance and sentiment don't just exist between lovers. They can also exist within one's ambitions. Xiao Jingxi, you've read more books than I have. So how could you not understand the concept of letting go? The words letting go triggered a great reaction in Xiao Jingxi. His eyes trembled, and he suddenly covered his mouth with his fist, turned away, and coughed violently. Meanwhile, his other hand gripped the edge of the table tightly, trying desperately to steady himself. Just as he was about to say something, a spray of blood suddenly erupted from his mouth, startlingly splattered all over his handkerchief. Xiao Jingxi fell backward onto the ground, closing his eyes as if he had lost consciousness. Only after seeing it with my own eyes that day did I realize that this was Xiao Jingxi's strange disease. The scene was indeed quite frightening. However, now that things have been spoken aloud, based on my understanding of him, he probably won't pester me anymore. I quickly put Xiao Jingxi out of my mind, and focused all my energy on the birthday banquet at the Prime Minister's estate. The reason was simple. Yunsheng Workshop already had some fame among the noble ladies. But that was far from enough. If I could use this opportunity well, Yunsheng Workshop could enter the view of the entire imperial clan. On the day of the banquet, I attended as Yin Xianing's friend. I arrived early, but as soon as I stepped inside, I saw Xiao Jingxi sitting right in the center. He noticed me almost immediately. I thought to myself, what a coincidence. The moment our eyes met, I calmly looked away, and walked straight to my seat. After a round of toasts, the atmosphere was very lively. When it came time for the gift presentation, I brought out the meticulously prepared gift. For a moment, the eyes of everyone present were fixed on me. I have always heard that Lord Yin is a clean and honest official who dislikes extravagance. I, therefore, brought some clever items from Yunsheng Workshop. I slowly unfurled the item in my hand. It was Yunsheng Workshop's unique four-sided embroidery. Someone, not understanding, asked, I've only ever heard of double-sided embroidery. What is this four-sided embroidery you speak of? I smiled, walked into the center, and first showed the front of the incense bag. Then I flipped it over. These are the two sides. Then I held the incense bag up toward the sunlight. The original blessing and longevity pattern under the sunlight instantly vanished, and in its place, the pattern of the 8 treasures longevity appeared. The needlework on the inner layer was even more delicate, exquisite, and magnificent. I performed a formal bow, and said clearly, I wish you health of mind and body, and complete longevity and blessings. Truly extraordinary. Good, very good. The Prime Minister was so happy his mouth wouldn't close. I was secretly proud. Today's goal was achieved. Unexpectedly, Xiao Jingxi, sitting at the head, suddenly spoke, his burning gaze lingering on my face. I also find the design of this incense bag ingenious, surpassing even the skills of the palace craftsman. She should be rewarded. As soon as he finished speaking, someone in the hall led the applause, and cheers erupted all around. The banquet ended. As I was about to leave, a richly dressed man stopped me. Miss, you should know me, right? I am the son of Lord Chen. I didn't know who he was at all, but out of politeness, I still shook my head with a smile. You are so clever, and so pretty. It's a pity to just do needlework. Why don't you follow me? In the future, for your business. I would look after him as he tried to put his arm around my waist. I couldn't dodge in time and was caught by him. Suddenly, I heard a scream. That man was kicked from behind and sent flying. He shouted angrily, who the hell dares to kick me? In the next instant, his expression changed from fury to terror. Your Majesty. Xiao Jingxi's boot stepped on the hand the man had just used to touch me. He casually drew the sword from a guard's waist. With another lift of his hand, the man's hair crown was sent flying by Xiao Jingxi's blade. His hair fell in a mess, most of it having been sliced off. He remained calm. A mere servant dares to act so arrogant? His face was expressionless, but he gradually applied pressure with his foot as if trying to crush the palm. I turned to leave, but Xiao Jingxi suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly and pulled me in the opposite direction. He said nothing until he had pulled me behind a rockery. Then he questioned, is this the expression you wear every time you see me? Yet you would even smile at a piece of trash like that? I couldn't be bothered to talk to him, but my silence angered Xiao Jingxi to the extreme and made him mad with jealousy. What did you two talk about? Was he making advances to you? Or did he want to marry you? He spoke rapidly, his face showing a hint of paranoia. Do you know that Master Chen keeps 8 mistresses? He is fickle and promiscuous. Why is even someone like him acceptable? But I am not. What right did that filthy hand have to touch you? I have more money than him. I have only ever had you as my woman, and I am much cleaner than him. Xiao Jingxi suddenly picked up the sword and shoved it into my hand. His eyes were bloodshot. His hand gripped the tip of the blade, pointing it at his own heart. Wanting, please don't hate me. If you truly hate me that much, it would be better to just kill me with one strike. I interrupted him, looking at him in disbelief. Xiao Jingxi, have you forgotten who you are? You're crazy. You're right. Perhaps since the day I remembered my past life, I have already gone mad. The words past life almost made my breathing stop. Wanting, tell me the truth. Does your conviction that I am heartless and your refusal to believe me have something to do with Ludaya? My heart jumped. How could he know this? Could it be that Xiao Jingxi was also reborn? Xiao Jingxi had once fallen from a horse. After waking up, a strange memory had appeared in his mind. I suddenly understood why, on the day I was injured, you just happened to be at the village entrance? And why you had medicinal herbs prepared in advance, as well as all the details of our time together. I thought you were so good to me, because you also had feelings for me. I didn't expect that I had misunderstood from the start. My heart began to feel uneasy. Xiao Jingxi not only knew what happened in the past life, he even saw through my true reason for saving him. But he wasn't angry. In the past life, I had already made my true identity clear, and had agreed with Ludaya that after my injuries healed, I would give her a sum of money as a reward. The sincerity was fake. The real purpose was staying in Lotus Village to recover. I had no feelings for her, let alone touched her. In the past life, I naturally didn't know there was such a complication between him and Ludaya. This was indeed one of the reasons I believed Xiao Jingxi was heartless. Every time he did something to me, I couldn't help but feel it wasn't from his heart, but just an act he was putting on. This truth left me speechless, not knowing how to answer at all. That guard wasn't sent by me. My father sent him to test me several times. I could only pretend to have no interest in you. Saying those harsh words was also to put my father at ease. I was worried that after I left, he would kill you. I thought then, if only I could ascend the throne sooner, I could bring you into the palace sooner. But you told me that day that you didn't care about any of this. My feelings, the hairpin my mother left me, power, status, everything I could give you. You didn't care for it all. What about money? I have nothing else now. Only this left. I felt like I had seen Xiao Jingxi in many forms. The Xiao Jingxi on the verge of death, the Xiao Jingxi I lived with day and night, and the Xiao Jingxi who left with a cold shoulder. Though they were all different, they were all within my expectations, and allowed me to calmly maintain my guard. But the current Xiao Jingxi completely shattered all my preconceptions of him. The him like this left me at a loss for the first time. Jiang Wanning, can you trust me just one more time? I lowered my head, giving no answer. I felt like I needed some time to think it over. 7 days later was the capital's Lantern Festival. Because of that scheme at the Prime Minister's banquet, Yunsheng Workshop's business was getting better and better. Carrying a newly embroidered gold leaf Rui lantern, I stood at the place I had agreed to meet Xiao Jingxi. People were coming and going on the bridge, everyone's face hidden behind various masks. The lanterns in their hands were all different as well. Thousands of lotus lanterns floated below the bridge, reflecting on the lake's surface, rising and falling with the waves, like the Milky Way overflowing and pouring down stars. Only one person wore a black mask, walking through the crowd under the moonlight. In his hand, he held an ingot-shaped lantern from Yunsheng Workshop. The ingot lantern was plump, its belly round, looking both silly and cute. But I didn't know why. While all the other handmade embroidered lanterns were sold out, only my favorite ingot lanterns had only sold 2 or 3. They had become the least popular of this batch. I was originally worrying about this, but a few days ago, a big client suddenly appeared and bought all the remaining ingot lanterns. I naturally knew who that person was. The tall man in the black mask walked with a light step, seeming to be in a very good mood. He walked to my side, paused for a moment, but then pretended to keep walking forward. I deliberately acted like I didn't recognize him, calmly shifting my gaze to the other side. As expected, Xiao Jingxi circled back again, walking back and forth several times. Seeing that I still didn't react, he finally couldn't help himself, and hurriedly lifted his mask. Can you really not recognize me? I wanted to laugh a little, but still nodded solemnly. It's okay, I'll give you another chance next year. If you don't recognize me next year, then the year after that, and the year after that, calculating year by year like this, you'll recognize me sooner or later. His brows relaxed, looking at me with great anticipation. You asked me to come out. What did you want to say to me? I naturally knew what he was expecting. I also reached out and took off the rabbit mask from my face, turning the handle of my lantern back and forth. Xiao Jingxi, I've made up my mind. There truly were many misunderstandings between us, but since you are willing to make things clear, there are things I also don't want to hide from you anymore. I don't hate you, and I once felt something for you. And I'm not afraid to trust you one more time. Joy appeared in the corners of his eyes. I sighed, and continued speaking. But I have things I want to do even more. If being with you means giving up Yunsheng Workshop and my freedom, then I don't think I can agree. The 9-foot-high palace walls, the rules of the imperial family, every one of them would become a shackle that traps me. Although such a life would be more prosperous, I wouldn't be happier than I am now. I'd still rather be my little money grubber, fiddling with my favorite gold leaf thread. Once I save up some more silver, I'll go and do the things I want to do. If I have some free time, I'll go see the mountains, rivers, and seas of this world. I knew very clearly in my heart that this is the life I truly want to live. Xiao Jingxi, I'm sorry. After saying all this, I felt a lot lighter in my heart. I gave a formal bow and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, the person behind me grabbed me and pulled me back into his arms. His other hand took off my mask, and he looked down at me seriously. Wedded husband and wife, growing old together. We performed the ceremony in the mountain god temple in Lotus Village. Xiao Jingxi's finger gently brushed over my lips, and the next moment, a warm kiss fell upon them. If you don't want to enter the palace, then forget it. I'll have my ways. But Jiang Wanning, don't think you can scare me away that easily. The new year was approaching, and Yunxiang Workshop opened its third shop in the capital. I was truly too busy to handle it all myself, so I handed it over to two other highly skilled embroiderers to manage. That day, a heavy snow fell on the capital. Ever since we cleared things up last time, Xiao Jingxi seemed to have even fewer scruples. Whenever he had free time, he would run over to my place. He said since I wasn't willing to enter the palace, then he would come out of the palace to find me. This was the solution he came up with. What I couldn't stand the most was that every time he came to see me, he would bring a bunch of valuable and rare items to make me happy. This was no ex-husband. This was clearly a god of wealth who had delivered himself to my door. As soon as I saw him, I immediately looked left and right, taking advantage of the fact that no one was looking. I quickly dragged him into the house. You came in through the back door, didn't you? Whatever you do, don't use the front entrance. If someone recognizes you as the emperor, it will definitely scare all the customers away. If you disrupt my business, never mind the back door. I won't even let you crawl in through the dog hole. He leaned against the couch, his eyes crinkling with laughter, seeming not to care at all about my threat to make him crawl through a dog hole. Xiao Jingxi suddenly produced an exquisite golden key and handed it to me. The key was carved with flowing embossed patterns, and its top was set with a tiny night luminescent pearl. It was clearly a carefully prepared New Year's gift. I felt it was a bit strange. It was still early for New Year's. Why was he already giving out New Year's gifts? Looking down again, he had already pressed the key into my hand. I also want a gift from you. I thought that after holding back for so long, he finally couldn't help himself and was going to ask me to enter the palace again. Unexpectedly, Xiao Jingxi just wanted me, like before, to embroider the word Yun on his clothes. In the past, you always joked that the characters you embroidered were my protective amulets. So every time I went out wearing them, I was only able to return safely because of your charm. You haven't embroidered a character on my new clothes for next year yet. The past was the past, but now Xiao Jingxi was the emperor. No matter where he went, he had guards protecting him. I just felt he was being rather childish. But for the sake of that golden key, I went to fetch my needle and thread anyway. How about I bring a few more pieces tomorrow? You can just embroider one on my dragon robe too. I raised my hand to pinch him, calling him a foolish ruler. The movement was so natural. It was as if we had suddenly returned to those quiet days in Lotus Village. I suddenly realized this and restrained my expression, trying to pull my hand back, but Xiao Jingxi held on to it. His long fingers slid between mine, gripping tighter, leaving me no room to retreat. The bright sunlight shone in from outside, making the whole room feel warm and cozy. Suddenly, I felt that if I didn't do something, I'd truly be letting your title of foolish ruler go to waste. He pulled me by the waist and pressed me down onto the couch. In the end, I kicked Xiao Jingxi off the couch. After he left, I noticed that the garment with the embroidered character had been left behind in the room. How could this guy be so careless? Based on his temperament, he'd likely come back tomorrow with a thick skin to retrieve it. Yet for the next few days, Xiao Jingxi actually stayed away. There was no sign of him. Abnormal things usually meant bad news. A bad premonition inexplicably surged in my heart. I waited several more days for Xiao Jingxi, but there was still no movement. I sent someone to the palace to inquire, but there was no news at all. Exactly then, rumors began to spread in the capital of a strange illness breaking out in Mainan County. The death toll was frighteningly high. Then I remembered that more than half of the people who left Lotus Village had gone to Mainan County. In my previous life, that plague came sudden and fierce. With no medicine and no food, the people of Lotus Village just endured it until they breathed their last, one by one. Only someone who has truly died once knows the taste of that kind of despair. Though Mainan County was much wealthier than Lotus Village, it was still a plague after all. No one could say for sure how long they could hold out. The larger the area, the more common people would suffer. Precisely because I had personally experienced that hellish suffering, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. I didn't hesitate for a moment. I brought out most of my savings, arranged for carriages overnight, loaded them with several large carts of relief supplies, and headed straight for Mainan County. Gold and silver are important, but if wealth is lost, it can be earned back. Compared to human lives, it's not worth mentioning at all. By the time I arrived, I found that the situation in Mainan County had already stabilized. Several temporary thatched sheds had been set up, specifically to quarantine the sick. There were also designated areas distributing medicine and porridge. Besides the doctors working in shifts, they were using Atriplex to disinfect the area. Everything was arranged perfectly. The medicine and grain I brought also came in handy. I finally breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the governor of Mainan County was quite a capable man. When I heard a small child speak, it wasn't the governor at all. The other day, my sister whispered to me that it was Lord Xiao who came from the capital. For some reason, Xiao Jingxi suddenly flashed through my mind. The gift he was so eager to give, and the yun embroidery he had asked for. My throat tightened. I lowered my voice and asked where that Lord Xiao was now. He seems to be very sick. My sister says he's not going to make it. I rushed all the way to the courtyard where Xiao Jingxi was staying. The guards at the door saw it was me, and didn't dare stop me. I pushed the door open. Xiao Jingxi was indeed lying in bed. His eyes were closed, and there were faint dark circles under them, as if he had been staying up for a long time. His entire face was etched with exhaustion. I found that I was completely unaccustomed to seeing him looking half dead like this. Xiao Jingxi, I've come for you. I stood by the bed, looking at the medicine bowl placed nearby. Who told you not to bring your protective amulet? Serves you right. A lump of frustration that wouldn't dissipate was stuck in my chest. I felt I shouldn't be saying these things, but only by saying them did the tension in my heart seem to ease a bit. Blinking my stinging eyes, I continued to mutter, but don't worry. I made up my mind on the way here. If you really die, I'll definitely forget you completely and live my life well. When that time comes, I'll take all the gold you gave me and marry the richest man in the capital. I'll go to your grave every year with him to burn paper offerings. Xiao Jingxi's eyelids suddenly twitched. I was startled, and my tears were forced back. Could this be the legendary final rally before death? He suddenly snapped those deep eyes open, grabbed my wrist, and gritted out, Jiang Wanning, how dare you? Wanning, why are you crying? He froze for a moment, his eyes filled with joy. He said with even more certainty, you cried for me. You do care about me. Even though the person before me had grown thin with exhaustion, he was still as happy as if he were possessed. Clutching my hand tightly and refusing to let go. In our previous life, the plague came so suddenly and fiercely. Plus, Lotus Village was in a remote location. By the time I got the news and rushed over, it was too late. You have deep feelings for them. And the people of Lotus Village took care of me too. This time Mainan County was involved too. No matter how you look at it, I had to come in person. He had considered the matters of Lotus Village so thoroughly. He never once thought of eliminating them as a threat. This made my heart soften. He reached out and opened his palm. To my surprise, I saw that plain hairpin lying there quietly. I only found out when I came here that it wasn't found back then, because someone had picked it up. Knowing it was yours, they gave it to me. Though it's a bit ugly, and it's not made of gold. This is the only keepsake my mother left me. If you don't like it, after all these years, this hairpin had actually come back to me after such a long journey. Before he could finish, I took it from his hand. I've been wearing too much gold jewelry lately. A change once in a while seems quite nice. The situation in Mainan County finally settled down. After returning with Xiao Jingxi, I spent my first New Year in the capital. I also received the gift that truly belonged to me. On New Year's Eve, Xiao Jingxi brought me into the palace. Using the key, I pushed open the doors to an entire glittering, golden hall. My eyes widened in amazement, and I couldn't stop smiling. I prepared this for you long ago. Its purpose isn't to trap you, but I wanted you to know that wherever I am, there is a place for you. I didn't know how long he'd spent crafting those words to coax me. I laughed secretly to myself, yet I found it quite endearing. That day was the first time I heard you say you cared for me. I was incredibly happy. For me, that's enough. I won't ask for anything else. Wanting, I want to ask, are you willing to spend the rest of your life with me? The golden hall was brightly lit. The candlelight flickered, and the man's gaze was incredibly serious, shining even brighter than the candle flames. Feeling his gaze, my heart skipped a beat. You know, I never make a losing deal. So, it's a deal this time. Later, Yunxiang Workshop became one of the top embroidery houses in the capital. I heard that the Miss Jiang, besides funding several schools, also became the first woman in the capital's merchant association. Just as I had hoped, whenever I had time, I traveled everywhere, seeing all the sights across the land. In the letters I sent back, sometimes there would be a willow branch from Jiangnan, and sometimes a drawing of a crescent moon over the desert. Xiao Jingxi, the peach blossoms here have bloomed again. I've learned to brew wine. They all say it's quite delicious. They? Who are they? The women of Mabe are indeed full of spirit. When I get back, I must design a pattern for equestrian makeup. If you're willing to teach me to ride, I might consider giving you a set. Seeing this, he smoothed his furrowed brows. Miss Abao from the workshop is about to give birth. Remember to send over the gifts I prepared. It was rare for him to remember all these trivial matters, but he dutifully recorded them and carried them out. Tomorrow, meet Deya at the docks. Don't worry about whether the travel money is enough. He felt he was worrying too much. If anything were to happen, the guards would return to report it. Xiao Jingxi looked up at the empty palace and drifted into memories. He suddenly remembered the Miss Jiang who lived next door to him in his previous life. Every time she set up her stall, it was right next to his butcher shop. Every time someone haggled, even over a single coin, she would glare with her hands on her hips, cursing them until they were humiliated. Clearly, she was very stingy. But every year as winter approached, she would sew clothes early, for the stray cats and dogs on the street. If she met a poor beggar child, she would also take out a few copper coins to buy them half a bowl of noodles. When Xiao Jingxi had nothing to do, he couldn't help but watch her. He was quite curious about her. After ascending the throne, when he heard about the plague in Lotus Village, the first thing that flashed in his mind was her face. He wondered if that Miss Jiang was still alive. But that was where it ended for them. Later, Xiao Jingxi became a diligent and good emperor. But due to an illness, he died in a particularly cold winter. Upon opening his eyes, before he even remembered the events of his past life, he first met Jiang Wanning. They met in winter. He came stepping through the snow. From then on, he fell into a fate from which he could never escape. Xiao Jingxi thought back to his youth, to what his mother said before she died. Zhao, the thing I regret most in my life is coming to this era and meeting your father. Remember my words. Don't be like him. He thought he would succeed. Xiao Jingxi came back to his senses from his memories. He closed the last letter and carefully placed it into the box, regardless of its length. Every time he read the few lines in Wanning's letters, even across thousands of miles, his heart felt at ease. Though because of the journey, the weather, and various reasons, they didn't always arrive on time, but whenever he missed her, Xiao Jingxi liked to be alone and quiet, sitting in this vast Jintai palace, reading these letters over and over, and counting the days until her return. He simply moved his desk for reviewing memorials. Here as well. Thinking about it, it was quite interesting. Even Jiang Wanning hadn't lived in Jintai Palace many times. Yet he often stayed here, reporting to your majesty. For some reason, Xiao Jingxi's heart began to race. What is it? The lady from Yunsheng workshop is back. He pursed his lips, and joy bubbled up from the bottom of his heart, uncontrollable. Prepare a horse. I'm leaving the palace. The night air was cool as water. I knew not who was galloping so fast, stirring up the fallen spring blossoms all over the ground. It turned out that the Jintai Palace built for me had, from start to finish, only ever locked him in.